Have you ever really stopped to think about where our modern world, our science, our math, our medicine actually comes from? Today, we're going to peel back the layers of history and take a look at the Indian knowledge systems. Think of it like finding an ancient blueprint that quietly shaped, well, pretty much everything. Let's dive in and see how deep these roots really go.
So, here's a question for you. What in the world connects advanced plastic surgery, the number 0, and a 1,600-year-old iron pillar that just refuses to rust? It sounds like a riddle, right? But the answer points to one incredible source. And honestly, it's a story that might just change the way you see the ancient world. All right, let's start with the very code that our universe runs on, mathematics. For these ancient thinkers, math wasn't just about counting sheep. Nope, it was about building a system so powerful, so elegant, that it would become the foundation for all modern science and technology.
And right at the heart of it all is this one simple-looking symbol. But it's not just a number, it's a world-changing idea. Shunya, 0. This is, and I'm not exaggerating, probably India's most revolutionary gift to the world. It was so much more than just a placeholder, it was the birth of a whole new mathematical reality.
I mean, just try to imagine a world without 0. You're stuck with these clunky systems like Roman numerals. Have you ever tried to do long division with M's and C's and X's? It's a nightmare. But then you introduce 0 and suddenly you get this beautiful, efficient decimal system. This one addition didn't just make arithmetic easier, it unlocked the door to everything, from algebra and calculus to the very code running on the device you're watching this on right now.
And this wasn't some happy accident. It was the work of absolute geniuses. You had people like Aryabhata, who's developing algebra and trigonometry. Then there's Brahmagupta, who's figuring out the rules for how to use 0 and even negative numbers. But maybe the most mind-blowing part? The Sulba Sutras. These ancient texts describe the Pythagorean theorem, centuries before Pythagoras was even born. That one fact totally reshapes the timeline of who knew what and when.
Now, this kind of brilliant analytical thinking wasn't just for numbers. It was also applied to something deeply personal, the science of life itself. We're talking about a system that wasn't just about fixing you when you got sick, but a complete and frankly an astonishingly advanced philosophy for how to live well. And this brings us into the world of Ayurveda, which literally means the science of life. This system has been around for 5,000 years, and it's always seen health as this dynamic balance between your body, your mind, and your spirit. It's not just about the absence of disease. For them, preventing a problem was always way better than having to cure it later.
So at the very heart of Ayurveda, you've got this idea of the tridoshas. The concept is that our bodies are governed by 3 core energies: Vata, which is all about movement; Pitta, which handles metabolism and digestion; and Kapha, which is our physical structure. The goal is to keep these 3 in harmony. When they're balanced, you're healthy. When they're not, that's when problems can start. It's a really personalized and holistic way of looking at the human body.
Okay, but it wasn't all just about balance and herbs. You might want to sit down for this one, because ancient India was a hub of incredibly sophisticated surgery. I'm talking about procedures that we all just assume are modern inventions, like plastic surgery.
Just how advanced were they? Well, get this. An ancient text called the Sushruta Samhita describes over 120 different types of surgical instruments. We're talking scalpels, forceps, catheters, needles. This was not primitive stuff. This was a highly specialized surgical toolkit.
And what were they doing with these tools? The Sushruta Samhita describes these unbelievably complex operations. Their techniques for rhinoplasty, that's reconstructing a nose, were so advanced that Sushruta is still called the father of surgery. But it didn't stop there. They were performing cataract surgery, repairing earlobes, and even removing bladder stones. This was truly groundbreaking stuff for its time. Okay, so from healing the human body, let's zoom out and look at how they mastered the material world. This next part is all about how ancient Indian thinkers and engineers came up with incredible insights into physics, created legendary metals, and designed cities of the future, thousands of years ago. Way before John Dalton and modern atomic theory, a philosopher named Kanada and his Vaisheshika school were proposing that everything in the universe was made of tiny, indivisible particles called anu. They theorized that different combinations of these particles created all the different substances around us. Does that sound familiar? It's basically an ancient version of our modern atomic theory. It's wild.
And remember that rust-proof steel? Well, let's talk about what's steel, the world's very first high-quality crucible steel. The process itself was revolutionary. You'd seal iron and charcoal in a clay pot, heat it to insane temperatures, and what came out was this super strong high-carbon metal. This was the secret sauce that was forged into those legendary, world-famous Damascus blades.
And if you need to see some proof that's still standing, look no further than the Iron Pillar of Delhi. Just like the quote says, it's been standing there for over 1,600 years, and it hasn't rusted. It's just this incredible, silent monument to a nearly lost science of making unbelievably pure, corrosion-resistant metal.
This engineering genius wasn't just for metalworking either. Let's jump even further back in time, all the way to 2500 BCE, to the cities of the Indus Valley Civilization. What archaeologists unearthed there wasn't just a random collection of huts. It was basically a detailed blueprint for modern city life.
I mean, the features in these cities are just astounding. You've got streets laid out in a perfect grid. They used standardized bricks, kind of like we do today. They had advanced sewage and drainage systems that most European cities wouldn't see for thousands of years. On top of that, public baths, huge granaries, and even complex water harvesting systems. These weren't just settlements. They were meticulously planned, thriving cities.
So, we've seen the math, the medicine, the engineering, but the Indian knowledge system was even bigger than that. It offered a complete framework for how to live a full, well-rounded, and meaningful life, one that blended art, science, and practical skills together.
So what does it take to be a truly accomplished, well-educated person? Well, according to ancient texts, it wasn't about mastering just a few subjects. It was about mastering 64 distinct arts and skills. 64!
And these 64 kalas were incredibly diverse. They covered everything from fine arts like poetry and music to really practical skills like carpentry and cooking, all the way to intellectual challenges like logic and debate. The goal wasn't to just be good at one thing. It was to become a complete, creative, and capable human being.
You know what's really fascinating? It's seeing how many ancient traditions are actually rooted in some pretty deep scientific observation. Yoga and meditation, we now know they are incredible for reducing stress. The turmeric that's in so much Indian food, it's a proven anti-inflammatory. Even temple architecture was a science, often designed to align with the Earth's geomagnetic fields. The wisdom was just baked right into everyday life.
So when you put it all together, from the concept of zero to urban planning to holistic health, you start to see that the Indian knowledge system isn't just some dusty relic of the past. It's this profound legacy, a deep well of integrated knowledge that still has so much to offer for the challenges we're facing right here today.
And that really leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought, doesn't it? If all of this knowledge, from advanced surgery to breakthrough metallurgy, could be forgotten and then rediscovered, it just makes you wonder, what other ancient wisdom is still out there, just waiting for us to find it again?